Hi, I'm Jeremy Crosby.
And I'm Nick Boucher. We're your hosts for the program that's all about your city, Talking Fitchburg.
Every weekday, we pull together the news, events, and information you need to stay on top of what's happening in the city of Fitchburg.
Find Talking Fitchburg on cable TV, Roku, Amazon Fire, Apple TV, and our live stream on the web. Plus, you can find all our headlines and stories on Facebook, YouTube, and our video on demand service. This is your city.
Keep up with Talking Fitchburg and the issues affecting you and your neighbors.
Get connected, Fitchburg. We're launching Fitchburg Connect, the city's new monthly e-newsletter that keeps you informed about all the events, services, and updates that matter to you. Get it in your inbox once a month. Sign up today to get Fitchburg Connect.
Okay, here we go. Let's call this meeting of the Tree Advisory Committee to order. The time is 4:02 on May 14th, 2026. First item is approval of minutes.
Seconded.
Okay. All in favor of approving minutes?
Aye.
Say aye. Okay, minutes are approved. Next, we have public appearances for non-agenda items, and today we have a speaker, Sue Easterday.
Just for the audience out in public, I'm Sue Easterday, and I'm from the Parks Commission, and all of us here around the table have worked on something together one way or another over time. And I saw on your agenda you had that you were going to talk about focus of the committee, and I had a few things to mention from just remembering what we've talked about in Parks Commission over a couple of years that maybe will be helpful. But one of the things I would suggest or hope is talking with alders and mayor and administration about funding for interns. There's been the regular summer 12-week intern, which really does a lot and doesn't cost as much as other staffing solutions. But the question is, could you have two? I believe they're about maybe 10 years ago, there was 1 year where there were two, and then it got cut to 0. Then it got one back to 1, and it's been 1 all along. So there's recognition is there that there is too much work and not enough hours. And so on the one hand, the elected officials want to move the city along, whether it's more tree planting or clearing out invasives at McGaw or anywhere else. Well, how does that happen when there's already not enough time to do a regular signed project? So I would just say try to keep working with others to talk about ways to add to staff. And it's not just summer, you can have semester help too during the school year and if that's in the middle of winter, it can be office work or something, because they're not there just to go around watering trees and pulling weeds. They do some of that, but they also are there to learn and to offer the expertise that they have, and that has helped in the past. And then as far as other focus to stay with is that now that you've got the McGaw or the forest management plan finished, is to be mindful that at some point all this work was occurring in big part to address McGaw. It's to address everything, but that's the one that has been on everyone's mind for years. So now everything is just about there. And then a comment about the way I recall Parks Commission addressing parking lots and trees and plantings. We only have control over what's in a park or some other chunk of land that the city owns. And the Parks Commission tried to always tamp down parking lots being put inside the grassy areas, everything, that they shouldn't be on the small parks, the medium parks at all. So your largest parks, that's called the Community Park, McKee, McGaw, they already have a lot of parking, but, so just, if they may need more, and a case can be made for that. You cannot, I don't believe you can stop every parking lot or addition or what have you. But we at the Parks Commission, I don't believe in the 7 years I've been around, we never approved parking lot on site within a park of the other two size parks. And there were requests. So that was just one way to try to reduce the amount of heat island effect. That, I hope, wasn't too much more than 3 minutes, but thank you.
You were great.
Okay.
Could we maybe just maybe introduce ourselves, because we do have some new members of the committee, and it might make sense for us all to introduce ourselves, if that's all right?
Okay,
All right, should I start?
sure.
Well, I'm Anna Healy, I'm the urban forester and naturalist here for the city of Fitchburg.
I'm Miriam Bartleson, I'm working under Anna.
Yeah.
As a summer intern.
As a summer intern.
Say your name again,
Miriam Bartleson.
Miriam?
Yeah.
Okay.
And just to Sue's point, like, what have we done this week?
Lots of tree planting.
Yeah, yeah.
So what interested you in this?
Yeah, so I'm in the geography department as a master's student at the University of Wisconsin-Madison, and my research is focusing on environmental justice, specifically for urban forestry, so getting involved in municipal work seems really interesting, and so that's why I'm here.
Okay. And you're here just for the summer?
That's right.
Okay. I think she probably said summer intern, so.
No, you're good. Yeah.
Brendy Hofer, and I'm on the committee.
Carol Brock, I'm a citizen on the committee.
Ann Sawyer, been here a few years.
And I'm Sue Feber, also been here a few years.
I'm Craig Rapp. I'm also a citizen on the committee.
And then we also have on Zoom,
I'm Dave Herbst. I'm the District 1 alder. I've been alder for 5 years, and I've served the city 33 years on the Board of Public Works. And I would add, I grew up in the woods, from northern Wisconsin. If you want a history lesson on northern forest changes and evolution over a century and a half, I'd be glad to talk to you about it. So glad to be here.
excellent, thank you, Dave. All right. Thanks for entertaining that.
Okay, moving on, I think we have to approve the agenda for today. I think that's next. Moving Fitchburg, okay, the management plan and the priorities for 2026.
So you moved,
Did you move to
Yeah.
approve?
so I'll second.
All in favor of approving the agenda, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Okay, none opposed. We've approved the agenda. Okay, I guess now we'll move on to the agenda items. Letter C, the strategic urban forestry management plan. What do we have to say about that? It's been approved.
Yeah, so it's been through council, I think everyone knew that. It's been through council and it was passed unanimously. So I just wanted to make sure everyone had a copy of, this is the edited version, so there were a few edits that were asked to be done. And so this is the version that's in your packet and the version that's on the website. This is the edited final version that went to DNR to satisfy our grant requirement. So I just want to make sure that everyone had it. You can get it from the website, but this is this copy of the packet is also for you guys to have. And I just wanted to make sure that everyone knew it passed council, and I also wanted to thank everyone for all their help getting this together. Some of you really did put in a lot of hours for this this project, and when I did the match, when I got everything together for DNR and did all that match, it was a significant amount of time that people on this committee, as well as other volunteers on Parks Commission and elsewhere, really did put into this document. I think we had like I want to say 32 or 34 people who looked at this and worked on it in one form or another. So, which is significant, you know, it's quite significant. And having all that documented into DNR just kind of shows that we do, you know, work with an interdisciplinary lens when we're doing projects like this. So I just want to say thank you very much, and I think we have a really good document to work from and to use as our guiding, you know, our guiding tenets for the next 5 years. And we've actually already done a few things in this document, which is really great.
I really appreciated Ann in particular and all that you went through.
Well, thank you, I did.
You did a
make
lot.
quite a lot of
Yes.
You did.
little nitpicky.
You did a lot.
No, I particularly like the suggestion about doing an executive summary at the beginning.
Yeah.
And and the reason I didn't weigh in is that I agreed with everything, so I thought, well, that's great. No sense throwing more in, because it was good. It was very good, actually.
Also wouldn't dismiss what your comments as nitpicking, because
No,
I think
I
it's
wouldn't.
really
Yeah.
important
Some of them
with
were,
a big
some of them
document like
might be
this.
were, but others were kind of important.
No,
And you were the one who wrote the summary in the end, weren't you? Or,
I don't know.
anyway,
She just writes all the time, you know, she's a great writing person.
So at any rate, so thank you very much. And now we also have an objective third-party person who's looked at our program, done a lot of community engagement, who has a lot of expertise looking at other municipalities in terms of where we stand. So if we do want to ask for, let's say, another intern or whatever, we definitely have some data to pull from in terms of making that case. Does anyone else have any comments about the plan or anything they want to say or anything they're, you know, questions or concerns at all?
I think this may have been already addressed at the council meeting, but thank you for all the work you did on this, because I think this is really excellent and would not have come about just with you doing your normal, you know, day-to-day minimum activities. So this is the next step above and beyond. So.
Yeah. Oh, you're welcome. Yeah. It was definitely a group effort. And of course, we have to thank DNR for funding the whole thing, which was really great too. So the last step is just getting the money from them and paying the invoice. So that's just the very last piece to fall into place. So
Makes sense.
yeah. All right. Anyone? So are we ready to close this chapter? Move on.
Well, the next item is priorities for 2026.
Yeah. Because this was the priority for so long. You know, this kind of took all the oxygen out of the room, and now that it's done.
Yeah, I think that's the point. We need to have some project to focus on. Before we had the tree preservation ordinance, and then we had this strategic plan. Now we need something else, I think.
I was gonna say that we might think about putting some teeth in the strategic plan.
Okay.
Like I understand Madison does. They have an ordinance too, right?
They do now.
Anyway,
Yes.
ours just says, here's our plan, but there's no requirements that developers do anything or what happens if they don't, and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, the city of Madison's requirements, if the parties that are working in the right of way, if they don't do the tree protection part of it, they lose their permit, their right of way permit. That's the teeth.
Okay.
Yeah, not only applies if the developers are infringing on city trees. I don't think there's any protection for trees on the property that developers have bought. They're still free to do whatever they want. Although, there's a board that approves plans. Is it the planning commission? Okay, so they could say, if they felt like it, hey, you're cutting down too many trees, and not approve their plan. Is that right?
You know, I guess I would guess so. I don't want to talk too much about City of Madison because I'm not an expert on how they do things, but.
Well, I'm thinking about here in Fitchburg. There's an organization that approves developers' plans in Fitchburg, and I'm guessing it's the Planning Commission.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so they could, in Fitchburg, say, we don't want to approve this plan because it takes down too many trees, or could they?
I don't think so. If the plat meets the state requirements, I think they have to approve it. But I'm a little outside my depth because I'm not an expert in that area.
All right, well, that would be the direction I would like to go to see, to put the teeth in, is to see that the developers have made an what other cities do beyond Madison. I think there's some suburb of Milwaukee that is particularly well-known for protecting trees, and maybe we could do something like what they do. I can't remember what the name is.
Is it Mequon?
Maybe it's Mequon.
Yeah.
That just seems to
It's somewhere around
be
there.
something I've heard about.
Well, we talked about all of this when we did the tree preservation ordinance.
Yeah, well, now we want to advance it. I mean, that was the first step. And, you want to incrementally, make it tougher.
And I do wonder, looking at the plan, we could pick a goal and objective from the plan to work on as well. We've done some of these things. We already have our work order system done. There's quite a few things here we could tackle.
Yeah, well, getting funding is a big thing. That was a major recommendation.
Mm-hmm.
What else would make sense to work on?
Well, I think I am going to be asked to put together the woodlot management policy, so that might be a good thing to work on.
Mm.
Can you give a little bit more, pretend that somebody on this committee doesn't really understand what goes into a woodlot management policy?
Sure.
What would that?
Yeah, so,
I'm not gonna name names.
yeah, sure.
Well, I'll confess I don't.
Yeah. So basically what that would do, and I talked to Miriam about this a little bit, we kind of started doing this. What we need to do is basically inventory what's in our woodlots. We've already done this for Dolly. We have an old inventory for McGaw that probably needs to be updated. Inventory some of our bigger woodlots, what's in there, and kind of think about what are our goals and objectives for woodlots. How do we want to manage them moving forward? How can we manage them giving our restraint on resources? And, how do we want to do this throughout the city? Not just McGaw, not just Dolly, but, we've got, I think it's 8 woodlots throughout the city, and we're not really doing much with any of them. And in absence of management, they've really become overgrown with invasives, and some of them are in pretty bad shape, and we don't have any, we don't have any regeneration of the natural forest. The other thing is they're full of hazard trees. You go to Dolly, it's like pickup sticks, right? And the other thing, we've got trees, every year we've got trees falling from our woodlots onto private property that we have to clean up. And often we have to pay a contractor to come and do that because it's beyond the capability that we can do. And if we just managed it a little bit better, we wouldn't have that situation. So I don't know. I think woodlot management really is something we do need to come up with a policy throughout the city.
Okay. What are the sizes of them, like acreage, like the largest to the smallest, or?
That's a good question. So there is a map.
Is Dolly, I assume Dolly is the largest.
McGaw is the largest.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
By far.
In terms of trees, though, a lot of it's grass and other stuff.
The woodlot in McGaw is much larger than Dolly.
Really?
I think Dolly's 5 acres. It's not that big. And
I think it's more than 5.
is Dolly, well, the wooded part of Dolly. I do have a document with all of that. I can pull it up here. This was part of.
I just got the impression it was the other way around. Interesting. Oh.
I
No.
think she's talking about the wooded area only.
Yeah.
That's what I am.
Okay, yeah, because, the total area of the park may be different, but
Yeah.
she's talking about the wooded area.
So we've got this lovely map. I can forward this to everyone by email quick. If I can read it here. I put my glasses back on. So so our woodlots are, so Dolly, no, you're right. Dolly is 38.9 acres, but that includes both sides of the road. So the wooded area is probably about half of that. Quarry Ridge Recreation Area is 64.1 acres. Settle Glen Park is 15.8. Mickelson Woods is 4. Noble Woods is 5. Magaw is 78.5. McCoy West is 28.2. SC Johnson is 7.1. Gold Edition is 17.1. And Terra Vista is 12. So those are our woodlots and their acreages. And I can forward this map to everyone.
Yeah, that'd be cool. I get overwhelmed in my yard. I can't imagine acres and acres to try and get invasives out of and deal with. It's a lot. A lot of time.
It is, and we aren't really doing much management in any of them. So in the meantime, they're all getting full of invasives. People can't get in there and use them. I mean, you think about Magaw. I mean, can you get in there and recreate? Not really. They're full of ticks. They're full of mosquitoes. So.
Can I suggest something?
Of course.
Sam DiMaggio, he's kind of the champion of Dolly. I think we need to find a champion, a resident lives in it. We need a champion for each of those woodlots, or, that can kind of drive things a little bit. I realize you need resources, but I think we could find a champion of each one. They can work with their neighbors. I think that'd be a good start.
I love that.
It's a little harder at Magaw because all the residents, all the residents want a brushy barrier, in front of their house. But I think there were plenty of residents that were, that wanted it improved. And so if we can find a champion for each woodlot, that might help drive this.
I love that idea. I mean, we've got, we do have a few people like you're talking about, but they don't have a lot of time and they don't have a lot of know-how. And, I think finding the champion would be great, but, who are they, where are they, and what are they actually going to do, I think is the question.
Could you, maybe put them in priority order? I mean, you can't work on them all at the same time.
The woodlots.
The woodlots, yeah.
And if you had champions, you could have a meeting or get together and they could support and share knowledge with each other. And maybe that would be helpful.
If we had them, but who are they? I mean, I hear all this stuff about volunteers and I'm like, bring it. Who are these people? What are they gonna do? And
yeah,
you know what I mean? Who are they again? And how much time can they put in? And what expertise do they have? What tools can they actually use? Do they know how to use herbicide? Do they know how to use chainsaws? Do they know how to do all of that? We spent a lot of time working with volunteers. We were just planting trees with volunteers today, and that's awesome. But it does take a lot of staff time, and B, it's not the be-all, end-all I think some people say it is. And, if we could do this with volunteers, it'd be done. It would be done. That's all I have to say. I get a little bit again, who are these people and where are they, and bring it. And the other thing I'll just say, a lot of volunteers can't work during the day because they work, and expect staff to come in at night and weekends is a lot. So so again, the idea of champions is great, but who are they? Where are they? I don't see it. And I don't mean to be negative or whatever, but I keep hearing this and anyway.
Yes, the problem you also have with the people who have free time is that they tend to be older in age and their bodies are giving up.
Yes, and this is true, and that is 1,000% true with most of our volunteers.
Yeah. again, not to be negative, because
Right.
it doesn't,
Right.
you know, over here Sue has been this great volunteer for parks.
Yes, absolutely.
She has, back issues.
Right.
And she's doing things, but she probably could or would do a lot more, like
Yes.
she either did in the past. We just need to find 10 more people like her who's.
Right. Right, and Sue was awesome, and she's done a tremendous amount of work.
But, yeah, the body only holds out so long.
Yeah, that is true. So at any rate, and part of it is, I think, from my perspective, like we don't really have we have citywide tree planting policy, we have citywide, how we manage street trees throughout the city. We don't have that for woodlots. And it seems like we might want to just get consistent with how we're managing street trees and also how we're managing our trees and woodlots, from my perspective.
So what does that involve?
Well, again, it would be, and one thing that I was talking to Miriam about just earlier today when we drove by Dolly, that we do have a survey for Dolly. We've got all that information, it's in our GIS, it's in our tree inventory. We really haven't had time to dig through it in a kind of meaningful way. And it would be great to kind of do, we've done a few things with like species richness and that kind of thing, but we haven't really looked at like, okay, how many hazard trees are in here? It's a lot, it's hundreds, but like, where are they? Is this something we need to really address? What is the species diversity here? How many really big oak trees do we have that we really want to, retain? Do we want to just clear around those oak trees? How much black locust is in there? We have that information. We just haven't really been able to sort through it and get in there in any kind of meaningful way. There's been requests. Hey, can we put a hiking trail through Dolly? Well, sure. Well, where do we put that? That kind of thing. So I think we just need to look at what's there from a tree perspective and what are our goals and objectives, and how do we get from what kind of ecosystem is there now to what we want. And and there's lots of different ways to do it. For example, Dane County, when they're working on a woodlot, the first thing they do is daylight all the oak trees, so you can see where all the big oak trees are, and they just get all the invasive out from around the oak trees, and then they either force remow the rest, or there's a whole variety of different management techniques that they use to manage the parcel in other ways. So, there's lots of different ways to do it.
Are summer interns able to do some of the
Sure.
hard work? You
Yeah.
described chainsaws and
Or winter, or in winter too, sure, yeah.
Because you were saying that they're more economical to
They are.
hire. Yeah.
And and I don't know if we want an intern running the forestry mower, but that would, if we had, it's a, it could be a combination, but an intern could make a lot of progress.
Yeah, so that would be nice to do.
Yeah, and the other thing I will say, I really appreciate the physical aspect of interns doing work, but the thing that I always learned from our interns is they come, like I went to college in the 90s, right, which is a long time ago, and I've tried to keep up with all the technology and all the GIS, and I do okay, but they always come with fresh stuff. Like last year, our intern really helped us transition our work order system from that kind of half GIS, half paper to complete GIS, because she knew how to do all that, and it was awesome. And now we use that all the time, which is great, and it's a huge time saver. And so with this, if we can get the inventory up to date, an intern could probably really help us with all of that data analysis, because they're just more slick with all of that, with all the new tools than I am, to be perfectly honest. Like I can do it, but not to the same level that someone who's learning how to do it now and use all the new tools can do it. I think you made maps this week that would have taken me a week, and you did it in like 3 hours.
Couple more, but yeah.
Yeah, seriously, you're just doing it, and it takes me like all day. So that's not insignificant.
Certainly sounds to me like campaigning for a second summer intern would be
Yeah.
a good plan.
Yeah, or even having just year-round intern,
Yeah.
Yeah, seriously, Because our last intern would have stayed on longer too, but she ran out of hours. So anyway, so I think, and And the other thing the intern could do too is do some of this volunteer coordination. I mean, it takes a tremendous amount of effort to coordinate volunteers and to get them to the support that they need. You know, we have some really awesome volunteers. None of them have a background in natural resource management, none of them. So, which is fine, but they take an awful lot of support to be able to get to where they need to be able to be functional. So, and you know, we've got, people always talk like, oh, Dane County does all this stuff. They have 2 full-time volunteer coordinators, and they do an awful lot of training, and those 2 people, that's all they do is support volunteers. We don't have that here.
And that's where?
In Dane County, for Dane County Parks, which is awesome. You know, and they do volunteer dinners, and they make t-shirts, and they have, you know, every park has a volunteer day and all these sorts of things, and that's awesome, but they've got 2 people who do that.
Yeah.
And that's all they do. Which is great, you know, but we don't have that staff capacity here. If I'm doing a volunteer day, I'm not doing something else. And bang for buck, it's not, the volunteer day sometimes doesn't pan out. I'll just say that, to be frank.
In terms of people showing up?
And what they can do. I mean, like, sometimes we start with like, this is buckthorn, and then they cut a hackberry. I'm like, the buckthorn is this. And then I tell them how to identify it, they still cut a hackberry. I'm just like, and then which is how it goes, but it's just like, okay, guys, you know, so in the winter, sometimes buckthorn's the only thing that's green. So you have to really be very like, okay, we're gonna cut everything green and hope for the best. And that's how it goes, you know, I mean, people don't always know how to identify plants and trees. So, anyway.
What would be a strategy for getting the funding for more interns? Is there any possibility of getting grants for that? Or does the money have to come from the city?
I have not seen grants for that kind of a project. I mean, we can keep looking. That's generally not something that's funded with grants. I think it's something that we have to ask for through the budget. That's the only thing I can think of.
So the intern we have now, that's went through the budget?
That was Gabrielle, when Gabrielle was on this committee, that's what you guys did.
Okay.
Because it got removed about 10 years ago, and then she got it put back. So.
Maybe this is a question more for Dave, but you know, if we say that's one of our primary goals as a committee, what are some of the kind of more concrete steps that we should be thinking about? Because I vaguely know how that process works, but I haven't been on the Common Council, so I don't really know what the, you know, what efforts we should be making if we decide as a committee that that's our goal.
Well, you can request the position. That's all really you can do. The mayor does what she wants. So, you know, if you convince her, then they'll put it in. And, you know, what I would suggest is offer it, but suggest some things that the city has going on that we could cut to pay for it. Well, is what I would offer if you want to get it sail through, but I think you just make the case to the mayor. You know, she's the one, she makes all the decisions, so just make the request to her. You know, we would like this position. This is what it would cost, and you know, she's going through the budget right now, so now would be a time to forward her the request.
Can we also make an argument that doing more woodlot management would save money in the long run?
Well, it would, you know, I mean, like, you know, we have a budget item, I think it's $3,500 to do hazard tree work, and we burned through it the first week in January because we're taking some tree that fell in a woodlot on someone's fence, someone's wherever. I mean, and there's still, I mean, we've got trees now that need to get taken down that I'm not sure how I'm gonna do it. We don't have the budget to do it. They're hanging out, like, there's a couple dead trees that have fallen from woodlots that, and I got estimates that are really high, and anyway, so yeah, so we'll see. I mean, yeah, eventually it would, absolutely.
So are you working on a budget request for your department now? Is that?
Well, we could. I mean, we haven't, it's now is the time.
So could you put in your budget request a full-time intern?
Potentially,
See what happens.
yeah, we
Yeah,
could.
why not? And then if they say no, then you try again next year or something. And you keep asking until they,
You're thinking full-time?
well, I don't know what kind of
What
hours.
percent time would make sense?
You know, so there's been a
Like in
couple,
each year, you would have a different, it would be a different individual?
well, like Dina, who worked here, she had that job forever. I mean, she had that job for years and years. She was the intern for years, and it was a year-round job, and I think she was here for 6 or 7 years.
And was she full-time or part-time?
She was full-time.
Okay. I mean, full-time would be great.
Yeah,
But we'll take what we can get.
yeah, and that job was limited, I don't know, 8 years ago or something like that, and then it was revived into what the job that Miriam has now. So,
Yeah, well, I
Make the request, that's all we,
request,
yeah,
yeah.
put it in.
And then if they say no, then they're on the record having said no, which, might have consequences.
Or you could put in a request for somebody full-time and then maybe they wanna cut it,
sure,
And you can
which
say,
would still
well,
be better off than we are now, right?
yeah, absolutely.
So,
that makes a lot of sense to me.
Okay, fair enough. So yeah, I mean, I'll talk to Eric about when we're, making budget decisions, what we're gonna prioritize. Is there anything else, especially from this plan, that you guys think we should be tackling this, upcoming 2026? It sounds like woodlots might be an issue, getting more staff might be something we work on, and broad strokes, anything else?
Linda Brewer wrote me an email, and she had like 3 suggestions. Well, one of them concerned tree preservation, which we talked about. Oh, yeah, I think she was probably referring to what the city of Madison does in that they do more to protect city trees, but that wasn't exactly what I had in mind. And then she said something about woodlots, and then she said to create green corridors, and I didn't know what she meant by that. Do you have an idea what she might have meant? I wish she were here to explain.
Not necessarily. I don't know if she was talking about,
I know that's where you're connecting the green or the nature areas.
By bike paths
Together.
or?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the articles I read is like for animals to travel it, but I don't know that that's necessarily what it has to be about.
Can I suggest something?
of course.
Earlier in the meeting, I heard, and I'm sorry, I can't tell who it is speaking, but they were talking about, the developers on a project, and they're supposed to preserve the trees, and they're not, or you want to try to put something in there. We have what are they called? The developer agreements on projects, and I think we could add some things in there, from the tree or urban forestry plan to, they sign the subdivision or the developer agreement, they're obligating themselves to that, and we put some word, rather than trying some different enforcement, let's get that in our subdivision agreements, and then they sign these things. We got their damn signature there, and they're breaking the agreement. Well, then we have action. So you're talking about putting some teeth into this. I think including it in these agreements that the developers are signing. And I'll talk to the director of public works, see what he thinks about that. But I think that's the best way to tackle that. Then the people in planning that approve these, they, when these come before planning too, it's right in there and they can be hammering them on them. You're agreeing to this. If you don't, we're going to shut you down, so I think that's the best way to approach that rather than saying, oh, well, you're doing this now, we're going to fine you or this or that. Just put it in our process. So that's my 2 cents worth.
Yeah, that's a great comment.
Yeah, that sounds very useful. I'm kind of wondering who writes these agreements.
Public Works.
Okay.
Yeah.
Part.
Public Works does, and we have a template, and it could be modified. I'll talk to the Director of Public Works. Or
Sorry.
maybe Anna, maybe you want to stop and see him. You're at City Hall, I'm see what he thinks about that.
Very useful.
Yeah, not a bad idea.
So you're part of Public Works now too,
Yes.
right? Okay.
Yes, we are. We are part of Public
We are
Works.
too then.
Yes. Yes, we are. Parks Department is no more. So. Are those the three things we kind of want to tackle moving forward or think about?
Sorry.
The woodlots, the teeth, and what else?
Developer agreements.
Well, that's the teeth.
Teeth.
What's
And then
what-
the intern
Yeah.
funding,
The
Oh, yeah.
intern,
Good
right,
idea.
intern,
a paid position.
and that relates to the woodlots. And developer agreements. Yeah,
And this might be just a frill, but at one point, at some meeting, somebody talked about that Madison has a memorial tree
Mm-hmm.
policy,
Mm-hmm.
and we don't.
Right.
So that might be something on the
Sure.
side,
Yeah.
and I'd volunteer to go to Madison and get a copy of whatever they have for starters, and this is not like the highest priority, but
It's good though. I mean, we have 2 calls just from last week about people who want to plant memorial trees, and we'll make it happen. But it would be good to have a program basically, and that is in our plan.
okay.
So that's another good one to work on.
sounds very doable.
It is very doable.
Yeah.
It's on here. Oh, I forget where it is. It's in here. Formalize the memorial tree policy, operation process, and mapping.
Oh, that's already in
It's
our
in-
plan?
It's in our plan.
Oh.
And the thing is, so we have memorial trees that people plant, but, I don't know any memorial tree that's planted before I showed up. I don't know, so, it would be good to have them in the inventory as a memorial tree. And now when we plant them, I put them in the inventory and I do make a note, memorial tree, whatever, but it's not a formalized process. And I know other people have planted memorial trees that aren't me, and I put them in the inventory, but I didn't really probably note that they were memorial trees for any reason. So,
So they don't have a tag or a sign or something on them?
not unless that people put something on them.
Yeah, sometimes, well, there's one in McKee that has looks like a gravestone, but,
It does.
yeah.
It does, yeah.
Yeah.
So there's that one, but there's, probably every park has got some memorial trees in it, and, so that would be a good thing to do.
Okay. All right, well, I'll just get a hold of whoever in Madison and see what I can find out.
Okay.
Low priority though.
That's fine. That would be a great thing to work on.
Okay.
Anna, I'm sorry for my ignorance. What defines something as a memorial tree? Someone pays for it and wants to mark it. I'm sorry for asking the question, but what defines something as a memorial tree?
No, it's actually a really good question. So basically someone will call and say like, hey, I'd like to plant a tree in memory of usually a loved one. Sometimes it's a pet. we actually had a fair number of pet memorial trees. And they say we used to walk this dog, for example, in Seminole Glen Park. We would like to plant a tree in Seminole Glen Park in memorial of this particular pet, or my loved one, we used to play softball in Greenfield. We'd really like to plant a tree in memorial of this person. And it works a couple of different ways. So either they just give me the money and I plant the tree on the contract, add it to whatever tree planting contract we have coming up, and pay for that particular tree with that money. Or more often, they give me the money, I buy the tree, bring the tree to the park, we dig the hole, they plant the tree in memorial of this person or this pet or whatever, and then sometimes they have a little bit of a ceremony or whatever, and then then we take care of the tree. And sometimes it's sometimes it's commemoration, like a graduation. We did have several trees planted from a graduation situation as well. So, but I think we do need to kind of just formalize, what are we gonna charge for that? I know we just charge the cost of the tree. Other municipalities will charge for, if we're gonna, facilitate them planting it, they charge, a little bit more because that is quite a bit of staff time. We don't do that. I don't know if we need to do that or not, but it would be good to be consistent across the board, and and give people the choices of trees they can choose from and that kind of thing, and some just have some rigor to the process. So not a bad question at all, Dave, because it's actually kind of informal, and the other thing is people don't know unless they call, or they think of it and then they call. So it's not like something we have on our website. Hey, it's not a formalized process or policy at all. So
Thank you. Appreciate the explanation.
What was that, Dave?
Thank you. I appreciate the explanation.
No problem at all. So, so anyway, that would be a great thing to work on.
Okay. Do you have a contact in Madison?
Mhm.
So I'll email you and you send it to me, right?
Sure, I can do that,
Okay.
yes. And I know like the Arboretum has a memorial tree program as well.
Okay. Okay.
Well, I think this was a good discussion. We have, it sounds like 4 interesting paths that we can explore.
And so maybe before next meeting, maybe we can work on getting that Dolly inventory, kind of looking at it and figuring, and kind of just getting some of that data analyzed and kind of outlining, hey, this is the kind of stuff we want to look at for other woodlots, and just sort of getting a little bit of an idea of how we'd want to do that moving forward.
So are we meeting in June?
We are.
Okay. Just make sure.
And you can submit a budget request.
Yes.
Excellent.
Yeah, June 11th is our next meeting.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Well, thank you for, talking about our next move. It's kind of like, wow, we're done with the plan.
Yeah, that was a very good discussion. Okay, if we're done with that, then the next item on the agenda is the report from the department.
All right, here we go. It's at the very end. All right, so a lot going on. Thank you, Dave, for coming to Western Hills Park to plant those trees. That was awesome. Thank you. And that was, so Dave was present at Arbor Day. We planted, I think, 9 trees in Western Hills Park. That was in partnership with the Urban Tree Alliance, and that was paid for with grant funding, which was great. We did quite a bit of planting with Urban Tree Alliance this spring. We finished up Traceway, we finished up Maple Lawn Heights. We replaced all the trees between the Beltline and Fish Hatchery Road and that Beltline frontage road. That was all ash trees. We got those all replaced. We did a nice planting on King James Way. So that's great. Hopefully we can get you a map with all those trees, in future meetings so you can see what we did with them. It was very significant. It was completely paid for with grant money, which was great. We finished up our plan, which we know. We've been working on our prairies a little bit. We did an Earth Day planting in Chicory Meadows. That was a different grant funded project that we had volunteers from DNR come and plant the trees. And so we replaced all the trees around the Chicory Meadows tennis courts, which was great. And then we put trees along the bike path there, and then we put a few more things in the woods, which was great. We hired Miriam, which was great.
What is this Parks and Forestry Assistant position this is you? Okay, okay, okay. So she's on board,
She's here,
That's right.
yeah,
all right.
and she keeps coming back, which is awesome.
That's a good sign.
It's a great sign. Been doing work order stuff. I guess, and the biggest thing we've been doing is we plant trees at urban tree lines, we did our Arbor Day, Earth Day tree plantings. We're also right now doing our street tree planting, so the 263 trees they were putting in streets that are ash replacements and in trees and new developments, that's happening right now. We're almost done, I think we're 3/4 of the way done, just about. Stock looks really good, they're doing a good job, which is awesome, so that's good. And then as soon as that's done, we'll get that in the inventory and then we'll start figuring out fall planting. Which will be another fun project.
I had a question about the item about fiber optic
Oh, yeah.
stuff. I had them doing a lot of digging in my yard and stuff, and I saw something about it injecting
Yes.
to support trees and
Yes.
roots and whatever. So
Yeah.
how do you monitor that, or know where they're going, or know if they're gonna mess with the tree's roots or not?
Yeah, so they did, so TDS has been doing fiber in the city, and I think they've been doing a pretty good job trying to avoid tree impacts, but where we have tree impacts to particularly sensitive trees, particularly oak trees during oak wilt, we'll have them pay a contractor to inject the tree, to air spade the roots, fix any damage to the roots, and then inject the tree so we don't.
So that's particular for oak?
Yeah, mostly that's what we're looking at.
Oh, okay.
What are you injecting them with? I'm just curious.
So I forget the name of the chemical, but it was to prevent oak wilt, among other things.
I can't remember what oak wilt is. Is it a virus or a
Fungus.
It's a fungus. Okay, so it's a fungicide you're injecting them with.
Yeah, and it's pretty important to do it right away before you have any kind of issues. And it's actually gone pretty well. We just have to be on top of it and get the right people involved and get it taken care of right away, which we've been doing. Always interesting.
Okay.
And I will just say, just a comment, like, because we have our tree inventory up to date, it makes it a lot easier. So we know, so when they're working in an area, we know, just pulling up the inventory, okay, great. Looking at, just overlaying where they're working with our inventory, we know what trees may be impacted. So I'll just say, like, having that up-to-date inventory is a really a valuable tool. And having all that GIS right at our fingertips helps a lot.
Okay, I guess moving on to the next agenda item is announcements. Anyone have an announcement?
Our next meeting is June 11th.
And sounds like there aren't any other announcements. Would anyone like to make a motion to adjourn?
I will.
Second.
All in favor of adjourning?
Say aye.
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 Okay, we've adjourned at 4:54.
Thank you, Dave.